Hello, everyone. It's Mac here. It's Chat with Mac. That means it's Friday. That means that the weekend is here, and we're excited about it. Hello, Nadeem. How's it going, sir?
Hey, Mac, pretty good. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm
Well,
really tired.
Friday is, yeah, after a long week, Friday we're going to be tired, but we're also excited because of the weekend, right?
Oh my God, we're super excited because of the weekend. It's a sleep in weekend. It's football. It's all that other good stuff. So yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about something now. I know a lot of you've been reaching out to Nadeem about talking more about different features that are in Microsoft that you don't know about. We talked about OneNote last week, but we want to talk about the Microsoft Surface. Now, Nadeem, if you don't know, Nadeem is very high on the Surface, loves the Surface. And quite honestly, I'm actually starting to come around to it the more I research it. So I thought it'd be a great idea to talk a little bit more about some of the features that might be different from what you might be using now as far as a regular laptop. So Nadeem, tell us, the
So,
wise sage of Microsoft Surface, tell us.
so let me say this: not just Surface, anything that is better quality than what's in the market right now.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be, just Surface. It could be a shoe, it could be anything. So the thing is, I've historically I've always used, HP, Dell, whatever machines, and a laptop. The typical life of a laptop with me is about 1 year, and
Wow.
even if it comes with a 3-year warranty, the life is about
Good
1 year
Lord.
because what happens is you get a machine, it comes with a 3-year warranty. If something happens, you have to ship it back. And then you have to wait. Well, when you ship it back, you're going out there and getting a new machine. You're
Yeah.
not waiting for that machine to come back. I mean, you can't stop your world because the machine crapped out, right? So historically, I've had, back when it was still IBM, I had IBM machines, I had HP machines, I had a few Dell machines. It was, 1 year was it. The other thing was, for when it comes to laptops, batteries.
Yeah.
Batteries were historically bad.
Yeah.
Things changed when somebody convinced me to change the platform I use for my daily computing. Uh, and this was, I remember, I was going, I was going to Corpus Christi, I think. Yeah, Corpus Christi, to pick up a motorcycle I had bought, and Kaleem was with me in the car. Uh, and we used to have a phone system that we could manipulate through the web. So and something happened, and I had to restart one of the modules on the system. And at that time, now this is a few years ago, and I'm probably going to date myself, but at that time, I used to have this compact handheld called, I think, PDQ or some stuff like that. Anyway, it was a Windows-based compact device similar to what we have smartphones now. It was one of the original ones. It was before the term smartphone existed. And it used to have a stylus. I don't know if you recall that. It used to
I,
have a
I'm
stylus.
I'm over here I'm looking at it right now. There's another version outside of Compact that was the exact same one, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. It wasn't
So
BlackBerry, but wow,
yeah,
that's
but but
old.
but here's the kicker. So I was with on this device, and and Kaleem was driving. I remember that, and I was like, messing with it, and I was like, I mean, I can't click this thing, and and it was a radio button that I had to click to make it reboot, select that module and make it reboot. And so Kaleem takes this new device out of his pocket, and I was like, what is this? And he says, oh, it's a new device. It's from Apple. And I was like, "Oh, is that Apple iPhone they just came out with?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. You could probably do it with this." And I was like, "Shit, man, Apple stuff, that's toy. I, I'm not gonna mess with a toy. If my high-powered HP handheld device can't do this, what's that stupid toy gonna do for me?" And he was like, "Oh, come on, just try it. The worst thing is it won't work, right?" And I'm like,
Right.
"Okay." So I took his Apple device and I tried to click it. I couldn't. And I was like, "Look, I can't click it." And he was like, and I'm like, "How am I going to click it without a stylus when I can't even do it with a stylus?" And he was like, "Hey, just pinch to zoom." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Just pinch to zoom." I'm like, "What the hell do you mean?" He was like, "Well, just go like this." And I'm like, "Okay." And I tried it and I was like, wow. I mean, such a simple thing changed my life, changed my world. I zoomed in, I clicked that radio button, and I rebooted that module, and the world was right again. That was the turning point. I promptly within a few days, I got my first Apple device, which was, I believe, a MacBook Pro. It lasted me. So I had an issue with it. I had an issue with the audio on it. I took it down to the Apple store. Uh, you know, they tried to fix it 2 times, but the issue persisted, and it was with the jack. You know how you have the audio, the speakers and the mic built into the headphone, and it works through a single jack. It was a problem with the jack. They fixed it twice. It didn't work. Third time I went there and I talked to the manager and I was like, "Look, I've been here, twice already. This is the third time. I need something done about this." The manager just looked at me and says, "I understand, no problem. We'll get you a new machine." And I was like, whoa. I mean, I was sold. I mean, I was sold before, but now I was really sold. And I was like, okay, so while I waited, now, mind you, at that time you didn't need an appointment. I didn't have an appointment. I just went to the Apple store and I walked out with a new machine, and it was the next level up, the next model, because I didn't have, the model that I had was discontinued, so they gave me the next model up. So that machine, I used, that was a 2011, and I just got rid of it. I think in January, earlier this year.
Wow.
Now, that's the first machine that has lasted more than a year. The battery alone on that machine lasted me more than 2 years, which is unheard of in my life. I mean, now keep in mind, I mean, the hardware was used. I wouldn't say abused. I take care of my shit, but it was used. I mean, it was used so much where I had taken it back to an Apple store, and that's another story I'll go over real quick. So the keys on my keyboard got rubbed off, which they always do. So the keys got rubbed off, and I took it to the Woodlands Apple store, and my wife was with me, and she was like, "They're not gonna replace your keys for you. Forget about it. Let's just go get dinner and come home." And I was like, "Well, what's gonna hurt? We'll go in there. I'll drop off my machine. They'll check it out. If they can't do anything about it, fine, we'll go get dinner." And I took the machine over there and I talked to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll replace the keys for you." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay." And I was like, "How long is it going to take?" "Oh, about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I said, "Okay, you hold on to the machine. I'm going to go get dinner and I'll be back." And yeah, by the time we got done with dinner, they had replaced the keys that were rubbing off. All was good again. Now, of course, those keys got rubbed off again because I just held on to that machine for so long. It was my workhorse. It was powerful. It did everything right. It got me used to the new interface, the Mac OS interface. I got very good at it where I could get my work done so much faster. I had at that time I had VMware Fusion on it. I had virtual Windows machines running, a few Linux machines running on it. It was a workhorse, and that's what sold me on good quality stuff. Now, then Microsoft came out with their Surface line. Here's the problem with the PCs historically. Everybody wants to undercut everybody else. there's always a price war. You know, HP comes out with a machine, and then Dell comes out with a machine which is more powerful for a couple of dollars less, and then HP wants to overdo them. They want to create an even more powerful machine for a few more dollars less. I mean, it's ridiculous. And what Apple does is Apple does not compete in that space. Apple says, this is what it is. It costs us this much. This is what our profitability is going to be. Take it or leave it. And that's why it was a good product. So when Microsoft came out with the Surface line, they went down the same line. They were like, okay, we're not going to compete. Anybody can make a laptop. Anybody can make a PC. We're not going to compete in that space. We're going to compete in space and create new categories of devices. You know, that's when the Surface Pro first came. Then the the Surface Laptop, the Surface Book, the Surface Go. I mean, all these, the Surface Pro X. I mean, all these different Surface lines came in. Even the Microsoft, the Studio machine, the all-in-one machine. Mm-hmm. Almost revolutionary products because they were not competing on price alone. They were creating new categories of products, and they focused on good quality hardware as opposed to just competing on price. Now, so I know what some of you are thinking. If I had a Mac, then why did I go back to the PC, to the Surface? I really didn't. I mean, I still have a Mac, at the house. I have an iMac, which is great, and it's I think it's like a 2013 or 2014 model, and it's still good. I mean, it still works, right? But then, recently, a couple of years ago, since we were a Microsoft partner, Microsoft reached out, if we wanted to be a Surface partner as well. And we were like, we got nothing to lose. Sure, why not? So we became a Surface partner. And then Microsoft said, okay, well, now that you're a Surface partner, we will give you greatly discounted machines for your internal use and for demo purposes. So really? I'm like, okay. So we got a couple of machines, that we can, show to customers and stuff. And so we got a couple of machines, and I was like, this is pretty good. It's actually pretty good hardware. And it kind of reminded me of that Apple thinking. It was like, it was the unibody design. It was quality hardware. It wasn't like that cheap plastic that a lot of these companies were using in their laptops. I mean, I remember the last HP machine I had, it was all plastic, right? And the motherboard in the machine, in the laptop, had developed a crack in it. And what that means is if you hold it from one end just right, you can just move it up and down and make the machine reboot, because that stress would move the motherboard, and it would move enough to where it would just reboot. And I knew what the problem was, and I was like, is it even worth replacing the motherboard? And if you replace the motherboard, is it going to do the same thing again? Because it's just cheap plastic. There is no, and Apple, that's why Apple, actually used metal in their casing. And that's what Microsoft's doing, is using metal in their casings. They're not going cheap. And that's the difference. It's the quality of the product. Now, I've had Microsoft Surface Laptop 3 for a while now. I think over a year. The battery is good. The keys haven't rubbed off yet, which is good. Now, of course, this is a replacement machine that we're talking on right now. I did another video when I had to send my previous laptop, Surface Laptop 3.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so I'm really using these laptops very heavily. Now, the Surface Laptop is not supposed to be like the Surface Book, which is your power horse, all this horsepower. It's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be, your office applications, things like that you can do on a daily basis. Now, I'm editing videos on them. I mean, it's really not meant for that. The MacBook Pro, you could do it because it had a dedicated GPU on it, and it can offload a lot of the processing onto the GPU. The Surface Laptop does not have a dedicated GPU on it. It's not made for that, but yet it's doing the job well. And this replacement machine, I'm using it in the same capacity. I'm editing videos on it. This video that we're recording, I'm going to edit it on this Surface Laptop, and it's going to do fine. It may not do it as fast as on the MacBook, only because the MacBook had a dedicated GPU, but it'll get the job done.
That's true.
Hopefully I won't fry this, but the thing is, it's reliable, quality hardware. The other thing is, you get firmware updates like you do on servers, where you can install. Now, even servers, you have to go to the manufacturer website and you have to download the appropriate firmwares and drivers and update them, right? With Microsoft Surface line, all these firmware updates come in through Windows Update. That's one less thing you have to fool around with. It's like these are my tools. My laptop is my tool. I don't want to be messing with my tool. When I want to do something, when I'm on a job, I want my tool to work.
Yeah.
If my tool does not work, might as well throw it out. It's like a wrench. If my wrench does not work, throw it out, get another one. And that's the way machines are to me. I mean, that's my job, and that's what I do. So I don't want to be messing with my tools. I want my tools to always work. And I want my tools to be as maintenance-free as possible. And getting these firmware updates directly from Microsoft Update makes my life a lot easier.
Yep.
Some of the other things are, management is easier for these devices. The integration is tight. Just like on Apple devices, the integration between hardware and software is very tight. Now, there are certain things that are a little different because it's running Windows and just the interface differences. So I want to say I'm not as fast on a Windows machine as I am on a Mac, just because the amount of gestures and how tightly the interface device is connected with the software. An example is the trackpad. A lot of times when you're using the trackpad on a Windows machine, it feels it's not directly connected to the elements on the screen. On a Mac, it's never the case. A Mac could be running at 100% CPU, and if you move that trackpad, it's still connected to that element on the screen like it's a metal piece connecting to it. I mean, you can almost feel that direct connection. With Windows, it's a little flaky because sometimes if the machine is under heavy CPU usage and you move something, it doesn't move. It's like it takes a little bit and then it moves. It's like,
before it moves,
what is this? It's like such crappy software. You're thinking, where is the quality control in this? But that's just me, nitpicking. Besides that, the battery has been good. The hardware itself has been good. The keyboard is great. I appreciate the bigger trackpad on the Surface Laptop. Some people are asking, well, what about the touch screen? I think on a PC or a desktop machine, the touch screen is a gimmick. There are certain specific vertical uses for it in certain industries where it makes sense. But for a general machine, I mean, I don't want people touching my monitor. I want it to be clean. I want to touch the keyboard and the trackpad, not the monitor. I mean, or use it in the capacity of a tablet. The problem is you really can't use Windows in the capacity of a tablet because there are no apps. I mean, there are none. I would go with an Android tablet, a $50 Android tablet first, because there are more apps for that.
Yeah.
By the way, I use an iPad, but that's a different story. So the thing is, the quality, Microsoft Surface is not competing on price. They're competing on creating new categories and competing on the quality of their device and the experience of the device. And that's what Surface brings to the table. So now from an enterprise perspective, So we've run some numbers, we've crunched some numbers. The overall value of the Surface line is better when you compare it to, for example, a machine that a customer buys at Best Buy, one of those consumer grade machines, right? So there are several levels of machines, right? You can get a consumer grade machine at Best Buy or whatever. You can get an enterprise grade machine from either you can order it directly from the manufacturer, or you can get it from a partner, and then so these enterprise grade machines, then they have several categories, right? You have the low level, the mid level, and the high end. Normally companies don't get the high end unless they're doing some AutoCAD work or things like that. Then they'll go with the workstations, right? Then the mid grade, some customers do get mid grade machines, but the thing is, the Microsoft Surface, the cost of ownership when you calculate it over the life of the device, it's so much better than a lot of these other machines out there. And that's the numbers we've run. And it may not be it may not be the fastest, it may not be the most powerful, it may not have the largest amount of RAM, it may not have the largest amount of drive space, but when you look at the overall life and the cost of ownership, it's far less than anything else out there. Because there are several things that go into place. It's almost like, think of it this way. The hard-working trucks, for example, have the same motor that they put in a sport truck for fun. It's just underrated. They underrate the power. And the reason they do that is for the longevity of that motor, right? So you can draw a lot of power out of that motor, but if you do that, you're going to reduce the life of that motor. And it's the same thing. Is what I love about my laptop 3 is it's quiet. It's never making that fan noise, which, all my PC Windows-based laptops used to do. You turn them on and the fans are going, and it's like, what? It's not until I went to the Mac, the only time you would hear the fan going is when you were under heavy, you're processing video and it's doing some heavy lifting, and that's when you could kind of hear the fan kick in. And the laptop 3 is the same way. It's very quiet. It doesn't complain or moan unless you're pushing it really hard, and then you can hear the fan going. So that's the thing. The quality is just there. Now, you throw in the high quality displays, the display. The thing is, it's like when I used to tell people that, the difference between an Apple device and any other device is you put the same make and model next to each other. If it's an Apple device, the colors on the screen will be the same, right? Even if they are different models, the color reproduction will be the same. Now, if you put the same make and model from any other vendor together next to each other, the same make and model device, not even different models, same model, the colors will be different. And you can tell the shades are different. That's the quality control. That's where quality control comes in. Now, Microsoft's done a great job on that. You can put 2 Surface laptops next to each other and look at the display, and it will show you the color reproduction will be the same. The color gamut will be the same. That's the quality. That's where quality comes in. They're not competing on price. And those little things make it a pleasure to work with these devices. Nice. There are some quirks. Every device out there is going to have some quirks. Every software is going to have some quirks, but it's a pleasure to work with these devices. Now, will I get rid of my iMac? Probably not. Will I consider getting a MacBook Pro? The only reason I would consider getting a MacBook Pro, well, number one, Apple will have to give me a huge discount like Microsoft does. But the reason I would consider that is because of that interface, the Mac OS interface. It's one of those things, you have to experience it. Once you experience it, you can't go back. It's like You don't know how good it is until you use it. Yeah, people can tell. I can sit over here and tell you for days how good it is. No, no, no. Just experience it for yourself.
Yeah.
I think Apple did a great job on that part. Now, not to say that Microsoft is a bad experience. No, I mean they're much better experience compared to a lot of the other vendors out there. The Windows integration with the hardware is very good on the Surface line. Now, you can get the Surface Pro X with the low power chips. I think they're using what are they? The ARM chip, yeah. And or you can go with the laptops or the Surface Books. They're all good products. They're all based on quality. They're all in some way or shape or form breaking new ground, creating new sectors within the industry. So that's just my thoughts about the Microsoft line. I wouldn't buy any other device. And I know a lot of customers are going, well, Nadeem, why are you selling us all these devices? Guys, it's the cost. It's the cost. A lot of times, people like we'll send an estimate out for a Surface machine, and they'll be like, oh, but I can go to Best Buy and get so and so machine for blah blah blah, and it's like so and so CPU, and it's like, look, it's not just about the CPU. It's not just about the RAM. It's not just about the hard drive. It's not even just about the front side bus, it's not about all of that. It's the entire package. It's that entire package that makes a difference. So I think for the longest time, everybody was caught up in those CPU megahertz, right? AMD would come up with 3 gigahertz, and then Intel would come up with the 3.5 gigahertz, and there was this gigahertz war until finally they realized that it wasn't about the raw gigahertz that matters. It's like getting into discussions with people, and a lot of times, people would say, "Oh, but your MacBook Pro costs you so much more, and my PC that has the same processor or even a faster processor costs me, this much less." And then when you actually compare the performance, and I would actually have to show them the performance, because you can't just, there are certain other things that come into play, that, the front side buses, the system buses themselves, how fast they transfer data, the OS itself, how well it works with the hardware. I mean, so even, people with faster processors, when they would run some workloads on the MacBooks and it would be faster, and I would tell them, now you see it's not just about the raw speed, it's the overall performance that matters. And that's the thing about the Surface line, is that they have great displays, they have great hardware, they have the unibody design. I mean, it's just a good all-around product. It's a great value, and that's how the assessments that we do. It gives you the best cost of ownership, is because it's just good hardware.
Yep.
On top of that, if there is an issue, now, this has been, one of those things that I always go back to. Like I tell my wife, my Apple experience had been great because there were Apple stores. If something happens, I can just go to the Apple store and tell them, hey, this broke, and they'll fix it. They'll make it right. But and it's similar with Microsoft as well. However, Microsoft is closing their stores, right? So
Yep.
You may have heard about that. So that option is going away. However, when my Surface laptop had that issue, I called into support, and they said, send us the machine, we'll send you another one. And it was an easy process. I sent in my machine, and they overnighted me another machine. I mean,
Oh, wow.
They said we're not even going to try to fix it. It's like, no, just send us that old machine. We'll send you a new machine. And that's what they did. They sent me a new machine. I configured it. Boom, everything was good. I was happy again. So even though the stores are going away, the level of service is still there. You can still count, and it's not like, you send the machine and then, 5 days later you have to call somebody to find the status, or it got lost, or blah, blah, blah. That's just crap. And a lot of vendors, I mean, companies have come a long way now. I mean, even HP, and Dell and all these other companies, if it's an enterprise level machine, support is great. I mean, when we sell hardware, we only sell enterprise grade hardware, and the reason we do that is because we don't want to spend hours and hours trying to trace some tech down who's working on the machine.
Right.
We get priority support. The enterprise grade hardware comes with priority support, so not just us, but the customer themselves can call in, get the replacement, get whatever needs to be done. And these guys are not there to give you the runaround. These guys are there to help you fix your problems, and that's the difference.
Yep.
I've been we're very happy with my Surface. So I have the Surface Laptop 3. I have the Surface Pro. I forget which one, but one of the Surface Pros. And so I'm a happy customer. So I'm sorry I rambled on for so long.
No. I mean, it's good because like I said, I need I've been searching for the last, because I do so much work. I'm a crypto enthusiast, and believe it or not, even though I'm not mining coin, I'm always having like 5 different windows open. My current laptop right now can barely survive my regular work day with having Microsoft Teams up with Outlook and all of that. So I really think the Surface might be the way I go, because right now I have an Asus, and no, it's not working.
No, Aces and a lot of these others, they're not going to work. I would say, just get one of them Surface devices and be done with it. Or if you want to go with something else, at least don't do Acer or Asus or, some of these. Stick with some of the big name brands, the HPs or the Dells or, something like that. I would even stay away from Lenovo. But
oh my God, I had one and it was not a great experience.
Some of the others, I mean, you'll be fine. But if you really want to be happy about your hardware, about your machine, and enjoy working on your machine, I would say go with the Surface. You can't go wrong. It's just a good overall experience. Especially when you don't have to mess with the hunting down drivers or firmwares or all this other jazz. And the beauty of it is it integrates very well with some of the other core Microsoft technologies, like Microsoft 365, Intune, all that. It works very well, with the entire stack, and that makes a difference. Yep. So I think we'll call it a day. We talked a little bit about Microsoft Surface, and if anybody out there has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer any questions people might have. If I can help somebody, so be it. Great, makes me happy. So Mac, hope you have a good weekend, and
you too, sir.
On that sleep.
Yeah, we'll catch up, and just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, I will be reaching out to quite a few of you. Those quarterly assessments, they're coming up. A lot of you are behind, so I will be reaching out to quite a few of you. Again, coming out of COVID, I think it's probably good for a lot of you to find out where you are as far as your security infrastructure. So look out for my call. Pick up the phone.
Yep. Great. Have a good one, everyone.
Have a good one. Bye.